Hey podcast listener, this is the THC Foodie, where you can get the scoop on the business of THC-infused foods. If you'd like to learn more about what we do, check out the THCFoodie.com and icecreamprivatelabel.com. This week we talk about how much money it takes to start up and build your own ice cream manufacturing facility and whether that is the best option for you.
Okay, so my next question is, and I'm just talking about for ice cream, like manufacturing frozen dairy or non-dairy product without THC or with THC if it's the same price, but how much money would it take to get started and support your manufacturing or your business for the first 5 months?
It depends on how sophisticated the individual wants to be in it for their manufacturing facility. Let's say that in the ice cream manufacturing plant, there's different types of freezers. There's a batch freezer and there's a continuous freezer. On fillers, there's a automatic filler and there's a semi-automatic. On feeders, there's a automatic feeder or a semi-automatic feeder. So it depends on the size of to answer your question on investment, it depends on the size package that you plan on filling and how much volume you intend to do. So if you're starting out and you think that you're going to sell 500 cups a week of an ice cream product, then you could probably start with a batch freezer, a storage freezer, a storage refrigerator, small appliances, commercial appliances, have a clean room, and I would say that you could probably get started anywhere from $75,000 to $125,000. If you wanted to produce 5,000 cups a week and you wanted more automation, then I would say that you would be between 100 and up to 225,000 in investment, depending on the size of the facility and how sophisticated you want to get into the plant. Remember, it could be a lot lower than that because some of the equipment we could buy could be used. So I'm basing it strictly on a new equipment, automated or semi-automated or manual facility.
Okay, does that include your food products as well? Does that price include, like, I don't know, the milk and the cream or whatever ingredients?
I would say that no. I would say that we look at a capital expense. You look before you decide the kind of money you're going to spend in a manufacturing facility. You have a clear understanding of what you want to make, what your accomplishments are going to be for the first 6 months, the first year, and the first 2 years. So it's a capital expense of infrastructure, equipment, water, electric, sewer, clean room, delivery van. Now what you do is you will say, this investment will take me from this small volume with a capability of up to this large volume over the next 2 years. So you will understand so that when you ask about how much does a plant cost, it's almost like you asking me how much does a car cost. So it's very difficult to have one number because of many scenarios. For example, we may budget that a plant costs $225,000 based on the requirements, and somebody goes out and they find a facility that's already made up and somebody wants to sell it for $100,000. So we talk about the category of product, the projection of volume, sales volume in units or in gallons. We talk about the sophistication level that they want in the plant. Do they want to have more staff and less sophistication, or less staff and more sophistication? Then we talk about space, because it's going to be important. Like I said, we're not building a facility for today. We're building a facility for the next 2 to 3 years to meet your demands. So that's why if we can buy used equipment in this scenario, then we beat our budget. But in the scenario that I gave you, let's say top end of 225, That is a large facility, maybe 2,000 square feet. That is new equipment and the infrastructure upgrade, utility upgrade. So would most people be spending that? Probably not. But I have to put it out there to show someone the parameter.
On the other hand, you don't have to build a manufacturing facility to get started. You could do it a different way. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
If you are going to make a conventional product like ice cream, then the other thing that can be done is look for a manufacturer that's already producing and is open to producing your product under your label in their facility.
And how much is that going to cost me?
That is going to cost you ingredients, packaging, and what I call a plant cost that the facility charges. If a facility charges 45 cents a finished gallon for whatever they make for you, within that 45 cents is their labor, their overhead, and their profit margin.
Okay, so here's another question I have for you. When I looked into starting my own supplement line, I called some manufacturers or labs, and I wanted to see if I could create my own formula, maybe create my own protein powder, etc. And a lot of these manufacturing facilities for supplements they kind of encouraged me to go with a formula that they already had on hand and then slap my label on it. I basically had to create my own label, and they had the packaging, they had all of the formulas and the stuff like that, so that I wouldn't have to go through the recommended daily allowance, hoopla, and all of that stuff. But I opted to not do it at all at that point because, I didn't have the capital to go ahead and create my own formula and go through the RDA process and whatnot. But at the same time, I did not want to just use a formula that they had on hand and then say, oh, this is a great formula and I'm going to put my name on it. I'm going to put myself behind it. But it's really just the same stuff that's already on the shelves now with a different set of marketing. Now, is that what it's like to work with a co-pack facility where they say, well, we already have a formula and you have to use our formulas, or can you customize things?
In the facilities that I have talked to, you can customize things. And let's go back to ice cream. You have a unique flavor. You want to make green tea ice cream. And you want to make it in a 14% butterfat. The dairy that you're talking to already has a lot of the core components. They have cream, milk powder, they have sugar. They have a stabilizer. And if you say, I'm looking for an all-natural product, then the stabilizer will contain things like carrageenan, soy lecithin, guar gum, as an example. So if they are making a 14% and it meets your criteria, which in this case would mean it's all natural, then you would supply the green tea and you would tell them how much green tea to put into that base. If there was a situation where the dairy only used high fructose corn syrup and you were not interested in using that product, then you would be responsible for creating a formula of how much sugar or sucrose would replace high fructose corn syrup. So there's certain responsibilities that you have. The dairies don't usually. It used to be that the dairies that you were going into helped you with a lot of things. They help you with your formula. They'd help you with your nutritional panel. They'd help you put your package together. Today's dairies are only focused in on the manufacturing piece. So you are responsible for your proprietary ingredients and a proven formula. What a lot of people will say, Daryl, I've placed a lot of calls to dairies and nobody's calling me back. And that is because in today's business, the dairies don't have time to call back unless they know you know what you're talking about, because they don't have time or they do not get compensated for educating you. That's not their business model. They want to know what you want them to make. They want to know how to make it, what's the formula, and they want to make sure that you have spec'd out all of the ingredients. They will tell you what the minimum order is, and they will make the product.
So they want to be as hands-off as possible.
They don't want to be hands-off. They don't have a lot of time to help the inbound of calls that they get. That's why I'm doing the business that I'm doing. I will help folks that do not know how to make vanilla ice cream. I will prepare them for what the dairy wants. We will talk about if it makes sense for them to make their own or whether it makes sense for them to go to an outside manufacturer. If we go to the outside manufacturers, the questions that we ask, we will already know the answers. In other words, we are talking to our contemporaries. We are armed with the knowledge base to talk to a plant manager about the capabilities of their plant, even if we haven't stepped in their plant. That will help get us the business because they know we know what we're talking about.
So you're basically selling yourself to the dairies in some ways.
Yes, we're giving them a business opportunity, and we're also letting them know that this business opportunity is not going to cause them a lot of extra time and labor and aggravation. That's what they want. They want the business without all the headache.
Do you have a product or business you want to share? We want to know what you have to say. Leave us a comment on our website at thethcfoodie.com or on Twitter at SafeTHCFoods.